Hi, welcome to Vancouver Startup channel. In this channel, we will be talking about Vancouver startups and hints and tips as a founder of a startup. So in today's video, I'll be talking about fundraising and the basics about that. So if you're a startup or you want to be a startup and you're interested in fundraising, this is the video to go to. So let's go on with the video. Today we'll be talking about the basics of fundraising, and for each kind of type I will go in more specific going forward, but just to give an overall idea of what fundraising is. So when you're talking about fundraising, you need to figure out why you're trying to fundraise, what you're trying to achieve doing fundraising, and what is the kind of trade-off if you do the fundraising. So fundraising, there are 4 ways of doing fundraising. Number 1 is bootstrapping. So bootstrapping, you might not have heard of this word, but it's basically as a founder, or maybe as a founder team, you finance your project, your company. So basically you're using your savings, or you might liquidate your stocks, whatever you have, and use that as the seed money to start the business or making that go forward. So when you do that, when you do bootstrapping, you have complete control of it. You don't have any debt or other shareholders, investors involved in the company. So you or your founder team has complete control over that. So you want to consider this bootstrapping as much as possible, because if for the other finances, you'll be doing some trade-off. You'll be giving some control over your company. You might think that bootstrapping is an unusual way of raising funding, and you won't be able to scale. But there are actually a few companies that have bootstrapped and been successful. So some of the companies are like Dell Computers. Oh, you wouldn't think of a hardware company that would bootstrap, but Dell Computers was bootstrapped. Also, one of the more famous ones is Basecamp. They used to call themselves 37 Signals. And they published a book, which I'll introduce. Basecamp has been proud of bootstrapping, and they're also proud of having a small, compact organization. You can read a lot about how they do that in their books and in their blogs. Other companies are GitHub, Plenty of Fish, which is a Vancouver startup, wonderful company, and also Atlassian, which is an Australian company. So bootstrapping is a realistic way of funding your company, having control of your company, and even growing it to go to IPO. Number 2 is grants. Depending on which region or country you're starting your company, there could be a lot of grants that could support your business. So some grants have conditions, such as if you are a female founder, or you're starting a company in a specific area, or you are hiring elderly people. There are some conditions. Those grants are incentives for the government to influence you, nudge you into the way that they want you to start a business. And some conditions include you can only apply to those grants if you've just started your company, or you're before starting a company, or you're like only 5 years that you founded your company. So keep an eye on the grants. They change, some kind of pop up. So you should look at your country, like your region. Like say in Canada, there's like city level grants, there are province level grants, and there are like country level grants. So keep an eye of all these grants. They might be really helpful for financing your company. Number 3 is the 3F's. So when we talk about finance, we often talk about the 3F's. The 3F's are friends, families, and fools. So it's kind of not nice to say fools, but what we're saying is you're trying to reach out to the people who are close to you. So friends, if you're going to start a company, you can ask your friends, hey, I'm starting a company, would you be interested in investing in this company or in this idea? Also with your family, maybe it's your parents, maybe it's your uncle that knows business and would be interested in your company. And then the last would be fools. Kind of putting it this way, but people who really want to bet on you, who although you might not have a solid business plan, or you may not have any customers at all, but they're just interested in you, and they just want to support you. So it's not nice to call them fools, but who will sort of blindly want to support you and help you. So fools in that category, they might be your ex-boss, it might be somebody who's wealthy in your network. So those people, they could be called angel investors as well. So reach out to people. It's really important to have this conversation to all people. It will open up doors that you wouldn't imagine. So anytime you meet your friend or somebody you know, you always want to talk about, hey, I'm actually starting a company, or if I've started a company, are you interested in this? Are you interested in getting involved with it? And chances are that they might say yeah. And even if they say no, okay, like I don't want to finance your company, but it's okay. It will open up doors. They might not, but they might have a friend who might be interested in your company or your service because of their specific profile. So kind of, keeping that going, that everybody kind of knows that you're doing something new and interesting is really important, and try to tap in, try to use your social network as much as possible. Okay, so that was number 3, friends, family, and fools. Going on to the 4th one, which is most, famous, is venture capitals. VCs we call them, but venture capitals is another important source or a route option that you can go for fundraising. If you're going to venture capital, you need to understand that it will be a trade-off in your control over the company. So you need to be aware of it. I'll be touching more about this in the later part of this video, so keep watching. But venture capitals, there's so many, depending on which stage you're on. Are you just seed? Are you like early stage or later stage? There's VCs that will take care of that each stage, and then VCs would depending on which industry your company or service will be in. For example, some VCs will be really interested if you're going to start a SaaS company. SaaS is in software as a service. VCs will be interested in AI. Some VCs will be interested in biotech. So depending on what they're interested, what their fund objective is, they'll be interested in talking to you or not. You need to do your research, your homework, to find which VCs would be more likely to invest in you. And last, number 5 is debt, borrowing money. For borrowing money, you can borrow from a bank, you can borrow from an individual maybe, you can borrow from a company if that's the option. So getting debt, debt finance. A lot of people don't explore this as much, but depending on your region or country that you're starting a business, debt finance could be a good option. For example, in Japan, the interest rate is so low that getting debt finance really makes sense. The cost of finance, cost of raising funding is really important. And if you have a business that you know you'll be profitable in a few years, debt finance could be a good way of raising funding while not losing control over your company. Of course, when you're borrowing money, you have to return it, your interest rates, your interest and principal. So you need to plan carefully. Okay, when will you be profitable? When will you be able to actually return? Some debts will have some conditions saying that you don't have to pay the principal to like 3 years, but then on. So you want to make sure what kind of debt would work with you and understand the conditions very well. So those are the 5 main ways of fundraising. But before you go into which options would work well, you need to understand what you're trying to do here. So to begin with, why are you trying to fundraise? Why do you need this money? What is this going to achieve? You need to make that very clear. It could be that you need that to make a prototype. You may need money so that you want to hire people. Maybe it's an operation-intensive, labor-intensive service that you're trying to start. Maybe you need that for initial investment to set up your store. You need to understand and estimate how much you would actually need to get that done. Another thing is depending on the type of business that you're starting, that type of company that you're starting, some fundraising options will not work with you. For example, if you're doing a family sort of business, VCs probably would not be interested in providing investment, giving you funds for your business. I'm not saying that your business is stupid or anything. It's just that for VCs, they want return. They want like 10 times or like 20 or 30 times the amount that they've invested. They want high returns in result of investing to you. So if you don't think that you can do that, you should not go to VCs. So you need to understand what startups are, and if you are a startup and you're willing to grow to the speed that is expected by the VCs, the venture capitals. And lastly is about the trade-off. If you get investors on board and you issue shares or you sell your personal shares to them, that's kind of giving up a certain percentage of your company. So let's say you start with your solo founder, you have initially 100% control over your company. But let's say somebody is interested in your company, they provide 1 million and you provide 20% of the company. That means 20% of the control goes to that person or institution company. So you need to understand whether that's worth it, whether giving out 20% of the control over to the VC or investor or whatnot is worthwhile. And often the case, VCs, they would ask usually for preferred shares. So there's lots of jargons and wording around this. So I'll talk about that in a different video. But basically, preferred shares is they have more control or they have more priority versus common shares that you have. So you need to be careful of what those conditions are, what conditions are attached to those preferred shares, and what would happen in each scenario. If it's going well, if it's not going well, what would happen? What will you get, or what will the impact be in that scenario? So kind of wrapping it up, today I talk about the 5 ways of getting fundraising and what the 3 points basically that you should be considering when you're doing fundraising. I'll go into more details, especially on VC side, because there's so much things that you need to consider. There's so many words that you might not be familiar with. I'll be creating a video in the future to touch on that specific topic. Thank you very much for watching this video to the very end. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, please click the like button and please subscribe. I'll be posting more videos about tips and tricks around startups and how to start your company, how to grow that company, and also about Vancouver Ventures. And also about Vancouver startups. Thank you very much for watching this video to the very end. I hope you liked it and this video was helpful. If it was, please click the like button and subscribe to this. That would be really helpful for myself. I'll be posting more videos about fundraising and tips and tricks around startups, and also about information around Vancouver startups. So till next time, bye!